Clown Slayer. So this is all about the localization issue. Clown Slayer on Twitter says, eventually you people attached to the localization industry in the West will have to answer why you're deliberately cultivating these echo chambers onto the whole community, doxing anyone with opinions you don't agree with while adding your own politics onto a narrative in post. This is just the same story we've seen in every other industry in yet a new industry.
Yep.
And then this guy says, no, we won't. Lol. And then the response,
how's it going?
How's it getting replaced by AI going? Because this is one area where at least to a large extent it's possible to replace this work with the work with AI. In the past, it's been a lot more difficult because there was a lot of human interpretation needed to because translating languages, chat, in case you don't know, is actually a lot more difficult than just substituting words. Languages not only have different structures, but they have completely different maps of meaning. And sometimes there just is not an alternative word. And sometimes you do word play, which is even more difficult. Sometimes there is no way to translate something into another language.
No, in terms of the whole, this whole debacle, right? Which is, of course, that the translators of anime and stuff are getting replaced. Anime and video games, Japanese to English translators are getting replaced. And it's not because it's actually because the Japanese companies, from what I understand, are furious at them because they didn't even know. A lot of them didn't know like what they were doing. That they were taking their own properties and not translating them. They were just
them, mutilating them.
It's not even bastardizing. Well, I mean, well, yeah, sure, it is bastardizing and mutilating, but they weren't translating. They weren't even trying. They were just making up entirely new dialogue. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd heard of that something happening. Rav says localizers deserve it. You don't hate them enough. I could see that.
Exactly.
I haven't been hit by this that much. I don't watch anime enough to really have been hit by it. I don't think. I've barely ever noticed ideology in anime. Well, as I said, I don't watch anime, if you don't watch dubs, I know it is a problem.
And if you don't watch modern dubs, you're not going or read proper, official translations, you're not going to get hit by it. So, for example, like there's not from the Uzaki-chan one. What's the one with the dragon maid thing? They just put in lines about the patriarchy, and there's it's not the only one though, but it's like every single thing they just put in politics. They're crazy, weird leftist politics into it.
Yeah.
And then they are like, haha, we're getting away with it. You can't do anything about it because we're the ones who know Japanese and you don't. And in fact, like when I dipped my toe into this on Twitter a little bit, and what do I get hit by? Well, you don't know Japanese. You sure about that? You real sure about that? You want to stake some bets on that one?
At every opportunity, you'll speak in Japanese.
But it's like, do you want to stake some bets on that? I know, I guarantee these people, like, considering how horrible their translations are, you really want to stake your bet on that? Call me one-on-one. Let's have a conversation entirely in Japanese. I get the feeling you wouldn't be able to say hi back to me, you freaking losers. Because it's not about translation. It's about politics to them. And they have been sitting pretty on this for so long, and now AI has replaced you. Bye.
CR Crunchyroll. So CR is the translation. B Global, I assume, is the original, or like someone else's translation, and then Anon is to
it's someone else's provided translation.
Yeah. So yeah, there is a difference here. This one is not a particularly strong example, but the Crunchyroll translation is more of a way a Westerner would say it. It doesn't mention the gender. So B Global says, after all, hair is a girl's life. Crunchyroll says hair is a crucial part of our self-expression, which does sound more like a Western progressive leftist would write it. And then Anon, so I assume just an anonymous provided sub-translation, they say hair is a girl's life, So more similar to whatever B Global is. So obviously it's hard to tell because you've got to translate it at some point. But yes, I have no doubt this happens.
Well, I can already tell from the Anon is that the sentence ends in dayo or dayo ne. So probably ne. But like just that, but that's a very common thing to end a sentence in Japanese. Which is like it's asking for affirmation, sort of. But all this stuff though is that it's very easy to tell when they're fucking around because it doesn't make any sense. What I brought up, because V, of course, is he's on a crusade against these people, which I totally support. I support V's crusade against these lunatics.
Fair enough. Here's a fair example.
Just make shit up. Yeah.
On the right it's not labeled, but I assume it is a more direct translation. You've got this line at girl's sitting posture, and then this line at you're becoming more and more girly, got translated into you even sit differently and you've really gotten into the swing of things. So they just remove the gender, which is exactly what you'd expect for progressive leftists to do. So
these are really like tame examples.
Yeah, I've seen much worse examples. Worse examples.
Fire Emblem Fates. Fire Emblem Fates was probably the most extreme. I think the most extreme example from Fire Emblem Fates too was that like they just removed the two ninjas talking to each other. They didn't even bother to translate it. They just had them like looking at it. Like one character lights up as if they're talking, the other character lights up as if they're talking. There's no text. They just did not translate it. I thought this was cute. Well, you didn't translate there's a whole conversation that happens between these two characters. They thought it'd be cuter if the two ninjas didn't actually say anything, and then their relationship meter goes up. Great.
So, you may know this, Aiden, or you may be dismayed to hear that I only watch dubs. I have no interest in the gobbledygook and trying to wade through it. I have no interest in a lot of people do, so I appreciate your ambivalence. But I have no interest in being forced to like keep my eyes fixed on the bottom of the screen for the entire time, the whole way through, or I miss key plot points. It's just not a good way to watch. So I do dubs exclusively. The only argument against that is actually good that I've ever heard is, but Uzalu, they put shitty ideology in the dubs more than they do in the subs, because they clearly do it in both. And yeah, that is the only thing that would win me over to a sub. Even like I've taken someone's advice when they said, no, seriously, the dub for this one's really bad. It's like, okay, fine, I'll try the sub. I hate the viewing experience, even though the sub may be great, but it's still, I'm listening to like screechy gobbledygook and having to read it on the screen. And then I go out over to the dub and the English dub, and it's like, yeah, the acting is a bit lackluster, but I can fucking comprehend it. But if there's ideology in it, that would give me pause. If there's significant, if they change the story, that would give me pause. Luckily, I haven't watched almost any animes that have even traces of that. I think I've noticed it like twice ever in a dub that I've seen. But
it's not in a whole lot of them.
But I know
it's not in a whole lot of them. It does happen, and there's a couple people who are really egregious about it. However, it's just that it's seeping in. It's getting worse, and the anime community is way more protective, I think, than, and in a good way, than the comics community, for example, has been about protecting their stuff. Because look what happened to comic books. Comic books got completely, I'll say it, raped by this leftist ideology that infiltrated everything and destroyed everything they like. And the weebs are at least going, no, you're not going to do this. We won't. We'll use AI. Which is a new technology, to be fair. But I'm glad they're doing it. There's only a couple of things that I would say. Is that there are some things that are untranslatable. That's why you do need you can't dub it. Like for example, one of my favorite anime and manga is called Gintama, and Gintama is untranslatable. It has never been translated properly, officially. Some of the manga was translated, and some of the anime I think was, but they stopped doing it because Gintama is legitimately untranslatable. It's all puns, it's all wordplay, and it's all pop culture references. So it is untranslatable.
Yeah. Those are the killers. Absolutely, yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah. Yep, I can believe that.
It's hugely popular. It's like the third or fourth most popular manga in Japan, and it is untranslatable.
Yeah, understand. To quickly respond about the sub-dub thing, Ravalon says usually dubs are just shit. The VAs are bad at their jobs. Even if they are, they're still speaking the right language. Like, they could be muttering it monotone. It could be the same single person doing the voice of every character, and at least I can still understand it. At least I can still comprehend it. If it was muttering monotone, the same person doing it for every character, that's about even to watching subs to me.
I can't relate, again, because I speak Japanese, so it doesn't affect me.
Perfectly understandable. That would be different if you speak fluent Japanese. If I spoke fluent Japanese, maybe I'd watch the subs too. Yeah. But who has time to learn other people's languages? They will speak our language. Anyway.
True. Based.
Thank you.